So remote learning at Fitchburg High School is going as well as it can. Our teachers and our parents and students have really stepped up. In terms of our approach to it, we put some pieces in place to finish up quarter 3 and really give students as many chances. And actually, that's even going to continue into quarter 4 to do work that maybe was missing, or to do extra credit assignments right up till April 12th. And we've even decided to allow kids beyond that time. Our sort of official quarter 4 remote learning kicked off on April 3rd in I'm sorry, April 6th, Monday, April 6th, with moving from suggested, recommended to expected work. That now, though it's reinforcing skills, it's reinforcing content that we have been doing up till March 13th. It's still expected to be completed. So we put a schedule together of when assignments would be distributed. We try to get those out really early in the week, weekly syllabi with teachers. There are a lot of teams working together on those. So, for example, all students maybe in Algebra 1 or geometry, will get a weekly syllabus that's essentially the same, with a schedule of Google Hangout meetings when they can meet with teachers and get and some instruction or ask questions, or even just engage, even just be together for a little while. What I'm hearing from staff, from parents, from students, because we've had a couple of meetings this week with students and parents about how it's going, into week 2, is that, as I said at the beginning, I think it's going as well as it can, with plans probably to adjust it. I mean, things that are working well are that the technology is available. Students have it. Almost every single student is able to do it. All these tools are fairly familiar, but the teachers are really becoming amazingly proficient in a short period of time, and using all the Google apps like Google Classroom and Google Hangout and other tools like that, the forms, the different functions. But we're working on making it better, making it better for parents and students, so that they don't have to choose between one session or another, or that they can really get access to to teachers as they need it. One concern we have is just, what's interesting is some kids that maybe hadn't been engaging that much in the traditional school are really flourishing right now, whereas others who had been doing quite a bit and doing a lot in the regular structure of the school aren't quite as engaged. So we're trying to figure some of those things out. And we recommend following the daily schedule, just because some structures I think are helpful for people, and just in general, I know I need them. So that's, I would say, probably a long-winded response to how remote learning is going so far. Yeah, some of the challenges that the staff and I would say students, and probably even include parents into it, is, with remote learning, would be shifting from a really structured model. We're there at 7:30. We have 55-minute instructional periods. You're going to have 6 of those every day. You're going to see your teachers more or less every day, even though we do have a one-drop schedule. And it's really prescribed, and it follows a format that's predictable for everybody, to completely online, and trying to mimic some structures that work well, with the understanding and flexibility that people are going to be doing, students, for example, are going to have different times that they're able to engage with the content. What we're seeing now is some kids are doing work at 11, 12 at night, later even, and they're responding to me and their teachers in different ways around that. They're out of sync. They're kind of like feeling that I was in a routine, and maybe it was even uncomfortable at times, getting up at 5:45 in the morning and getting hustling to get to the bus stop, this kind of stuff. We're hearing things like students are sleeping a lot later, but they're staying up a lot later. And teachers are also struggling with creating all of this online, whereas they would have done it in person, where they would have done it. I mean, we had quite a bit going online already, but they would have done the lion's share in the classroom with the class. And now adjusting to, I'm doing a Google Hangout session with a class of 25, and there's only 13 there, or 10, or 15, or whatever it might be, but not the whole group, and kind of figuring out the ways that we can make it more effective, make it more flexible, but also still continue the education process, because our fear, our challenge, I think one of the things that we're really stressed out about as a staff is students kind of falling behind in this period. And we really want to work hard to make sure our kids continue with their development, and we'll figure out ways to buffer that next year, whenever it is that we come back, May 4th or next year. But I think that that's something that we're just finding to be a tricky piece. What I'd say too is that there are some kids, a small amount, but a few, that have reported challenges in being able to, access Wi-Fi consistently, which really is essential right now, obviously. So we've said, we've tried to be available as a district. I think the district's done a great job of, supporting that with Wi-Fi hubs and in different ways to get work to kids that, or get access to kids so that they can do the work. It's a really interesting question for schools, not Fitchburg High School only either, like across the country, about what lessons are we going to take from this experience of remote learning, as the Department of Ed is referring to it, but essentially online types of learning experiences, and do we make adjustments as a school? Because we have seen students who have really done quite a bit and done well so far in a short period of time, but seem to be doing well. And so does it tell us some things about, looking at the model that we have and maybe being flexible, maybe adding in some components? I think that's going to be a discussion that is wide ranging across all 50 states, especially the states like ours that have had really high numbers of COVID-19 cases and are really kind of locked into the stay-at-home orders and so forth. I think that we will take some pieces of this that we're doing online, the remote learning type thing, and look at how do we adapt our systems moving forward. I see that coming for sure. And sometimes, not planning for something leads to some of the best results, because I've found in education, it takes a long time to initiate a new thing, a new activity, a new program. We left March 13th, kind of thinking we're going to be back on March 16th. And if not that day, that Monday, maybe like 2 days into the week, we'll come through, we'll clean the building, we'll disinfect everything, and then we'll be back like Wednesday. We haven't been back since, so we've had to really collaborate immediately, get something up and running. And it's really quite good with the teachers and the faculty, the other faculty that the VPs have put into place. And many of the kids are really engaging with it in different ways that, we're finding like, wow, that's interesting how there's some kids, there's some examples that they really struggled. They were struggling with us. And right now, they're blowing it out of the water, doing well. Some of that might be, the incentives we've put in around, like, hey, we're going to extend Q3, take advantage. We're going to give you an opportunity Q4 to even make some headway with where you were. And that could be part of it. but maybe there's some other things in there too. I don't know. It's just it's been an interesting experience for sure. The initial meeting will be myself, the assistant principal for the senior class, Tom DiGeronimo, and the two senior class advisors, Patty Kelly and Barry Walker. We're going to talk about options. What I have been doing, and a couple of us, we've been consulting with, I would say, about 50 to 60 other high schools in the state, and even some of our partners like Jostens. Jostens provides our caps and gowns and a few other things. They've tapped us into what's going on across the country for plans for graduation ceremonies. In fact, I had a meeting this morning with the Midland Wachusett League principals, and that was the topic. That was the main agenda item, that and GPAs. But we spent a lot of the time talking and listening about what are you thinking about graduation ceremonies, and the no more than 10, orders still enforced in the state of Massachusetts, or even 25, then we can't have a ceremony like we normally would, and so we have to be realistic about some of those things and look at some of these ideas that are out there. And because the main thing I want to emphasize is that we want to honor our class of 2020 and their families in the city of Fitchburg Public Schools. We're going to do it. I mean, we're going to do something. Our goal, and we'll fight hard to maintain, is the ceremony. And if we can't do that, we're going to go to the next best options that are available to try to make sure that our kids are recognized for what they've accomplished, their families have a chance to celebrate that. And I always think about Fitchburg High School. We're very proud to carry the name of the city in our school. And as one of the oldest high schools in the nation, we've had more graduation ceremonies than most. I think it's all but 58 other high schools in the country have done more than us, and that's out of like 35,000 high schools. So we're proud of that, and we want to try to maintain that because it's important for our city too, and the alumni and everybody associated that loves Fitchburg High and the Red Raiders. So that's kind of where we are, and we'll be meeting on it, I think, like towards the end of next week or the week after. And our next step will be to bring in our senior class officers, some NHS members, talk to them, student council. Here's what we're thinking. What do you have for thoughts? And kind of go from there. And the key piece too is that we have to follow whatever the guidelines are. We have to follow those state, social distancing and group size mandates. I mean, we don't have any flexibility about that. So, we'll be talking about that and probably talking to FATV, about how we do it together. I'm sure of that. Yeah, there've been a lot of individual messages, and individual talks and engagements between staff and students that have just reinforced, I think, that love and care and connection that the staff have with our kids, and vice versa, and the kids with our staff. That's been over and over again, in sort of anecdotes and story after story from staff members about their connections that they've made with kids in this time, and how that message is run through. What I would say has been interesting is we've had a number of students that we have not, for whatever reasons, haven't had success, and had been failing their classes and struggling with attending school and some other things like that. And more than a small amount of those students have demonstrated work that they just previously had not, and in some cases really consistently and really high level. And so that's been exciting for us because maybe it's informing something, I don't know. At the very least, those kids are now doing well, and that's great. But on a higher level, it might even be opening a door to understanding for us about ways that we can look at, providing options for some kids and so forth. And like I said, I think that's part of a bigger discussion that that'll be done sort of in the education, you know, group across the state, across the country, and everything. Um, so it's not all negative, you know. I mean, this has been difficult and this has been challenging, and for me, I've felt a sort of sense of, you know, loss at times, because I really enjoy the interactions every day with kids and teachers and parents, and that part has been different. You know, it's not that it isn't going on, it's just been different. But you know, we will get to we'll get back at some point, and we'll be learned some lessons from this that I think make us better, you know. And in the meantime, we're going to do the absolute best we can to help our kids and their families and our teachers. I got to just say, you know, I've been so impressed with our assistant principals. They're like unbelievable people in what they do, and how they've been connecting with our kids in this. Our guidance counselors, our teachers who've just, you know, come out of the, like, learn something. You know, the metaphor that keeps getting used, and it's used so often I don't even like it anymore, but it's like building the plane midair. They have built you know, a luxury liner in midair because they've just put their hearts and souls into it, and paraprofessionals who are doing a ton. And you know, it's just amazing to me to look at that. And I got to say, our district office, you know, with Bob Jokla and Adam Renner, John Thompson, Roanne DeMonch, Craig Shalafo, a bunch of other people, have just in our food services, you know, Dave Semenza, they've been amazing in just, how do we help kids? How do we help kids? Eileen Spinney, the tech department, and getting Chromebooks out across the city in like 3 days. Unreal. I mean, that's a huge task. And like I said, it just reinforces to me what's so special about Fitchburg Public Schools. And it's the people. It's always the people. It's why it's the best high school in the state. It's our kids, our parents, our teachers. And enough said. #1 school in the state right there.
In terms of an update on where the city is regarding COVID-19, you know, I think we're doing exceptionally well. I know it's a difficult term to use when we're talking about this kind of a crisis, but quite frankly, my my appreciation, my thanks go out to the people of Fitchburg, because obviously, when you see some of our numbers, given the fact we've got 41,000 people in the city, and arguably, David, more than 41,000, probably closer to 51,000. And our numbers you know, are very, very good in terms of how badly impacted the city has been. The state of Massachusetts has, at one point, I'm not sure if we're still there, considered to be a you know, a hot spot in the nation. But certainly Fitchburg's numbers are far below anything at that level, at the state level. So we're happy about that. Certainly, happy maybe is not the word. We're pleased that, again, I think it's a credit to the people of Fitchburg that they've taken the measures that have been recommended, and they're you know, they're placing those in action, and obviously they're having an impact. So we're happy about that. Initially, the most pressing challenge had to be providing for the citizens' well-being, and certainly the employees in the city of Fitchburg facing the city, was how do we maintain the safety of those folks, certainly the people that are providing municipal services, but in the same respect, also ensuring that we can function as well as possible, given the unusual nature of this crisis. So, but the challenge is, again, has been to keep people healthy and working, and and still available to continue the municipality's goals and objectives. One of the more shining examples of some of our successes, one success in particular, is how terrific the departments have been in collaborating and rising to the occasion and being available to help out in any way possible. I have to send out a thank you to the unions. Cities unions have been more than collaborative, more than willing to partner with us to make sure that the city continues to function. But again, while keeping the employees, certainly employees in the city of Fitchburg, safe. And I think that's the chief, that's the general goal that we had at the beginning of this. And I don't know, what are we on, Dave? Day 37, 36, something like that. So I think we've done quite well, and it's a credit to the employees of the city of Fitchburg, but certainly also the citizens of the city as well. They have got to be, at the forefront of what we're trying to accomplish. We have been meeting through conference call every day for, as I think you're saying, 30, I'm saying 36, 37 days, every morning, 9 o'clock, with the chief of the fire department, Kevin Roy, our chief of the police department, Ernie Martineau, and my chief of staff, AJ Torigny, along with the director of my HR department, Susan Davis. And the shining star out of all of this has been Steve Curry, our director of Board of Health, and he has just been fabulous, and couldn't be more thankful. But certainly, we talked about employees and management issues with your staffs and whatnot. No one's done a better job at that than the police and fire departments. Retaining staff during this kind of crisis is always a challenge. I'm guessing it's a challenge, David, but then again, we've never been through this before. This is all just uncharted territory. But you know what? We're still manning those shifts, providing, again, safety and security concerns to the people of Fitchburg. We're living up to that. Those chiefs and their staffs, their command staffs, have been absolutely outstanding, and we're thankful for that. But again, every morning we've been meeting, and that's 7 days a week, I might add. We're not taking Saturday and Sunday off to address every day. There are other issues that need to be addressed, and that's the thing with this challenge, with this crisis, has been. It's like the layers on an onion. You think you're peeling away one because you're addressing it, and then you find out that it's impacting on something else that you just didn't anticipate. And so that's kind of part of the challenges that we've had. But I mean, I couldn't be more fortunate to have the staff that we have working with us. It's been fabulous. I couldn't do this alone, certainly, and I'm very, very fortunate to have such good people. Most of City Hall employees, the senior center, the library, those department heads are working from home, and some of their staff as well. And some staff, if you're, you have a specific function in that department that needs to happen, for instance, payroll, things like that, you're still coming in, you're doing the task you need to do, and then you're going home. So, but department heads are responsible for the functions of those folks, and they've been terrific as well. Every mayor, every governor, everybody in the country, and certainly the Commonwealth and the city of Fitchburg. I wish I had an answer for that. I think we're beginning to see how we're going to prepare for to come out of this crisis, and we're already talking. My department folks have been talking community development folks, Tom Skorowski, Mary Jo Bohart, talking about how we can prepare to be as helpful as possible with some of the small businesses in the city and businesses in general. So we will be available, and we've done that with our wallet. We've provided resources through our CDBG funding and other avenues. The Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority has jumped on board as well. We thank them for their help. And then, of course, what's happening at the federal level and coming down the road at the state level too. I want the people of Fitchburg to know that I, as your mayor, is certainly appreciative. Couldn't be happier with the way the city and its people have addressed this challenge, this crisis. They've risen to the occasion. As I mentioned when we began this discussion, David, our numbers are much different than the state or the country on the positive side. So we're, I couldn't be happier with that. And I just ask people to continue to use the measures that are being promoted by the CDC, the Department of Public Health in the state of Massachusetts, along with MEMA, and because it seems to be working, certainly in Fitchburg it is. So please continue that, and God bless all of us. Thank you.